have met him actually. Do you remember in Sydney a band called the Wendells?
Yeah?
He was the lead singer of the Wendells.
No.
Yeah, so that's when I met him. I'm freaking out. Like everyone else was all, a bit starstruck because he's the Blokesworld guy, and I'm starstruck because he was the Wendells guy. Because I used to live in Sydney, I'm from there, and used to go to all of these pubs in the suburbs.
Oh, I know them. I've got a feeling I've seen.
They used
I'm
to
trying to
support they were pretty rough and punkish.
Yeah, I'm thinking Newtown,
yeah.
1996, 97.
Probably, about then, or about the same time, a bit earlier. And they were hanging out with all like the Clouds and the Falling Joys and all those guys.
Right.
But at the same time, he was working for Hot Metal magazine.
Wow.
And the other guy who originally started Blokesworld.
I love that magazine.
Yeah, I remember Hot Metal.
That.
Yeah. Well, you might remember one of the writers, Benoit.
Yeah.
Well, he's the other guy who started Blokesworld, and they were making the show for sort of a good 10 years together. And you probably remember they used to do sort of motorbike tours in Vietnam and Laos and all that. Yep. And so Benoit fell in love with all that. And so he just started running motorbike tours, and that's what he does now. So he's based in Bali. And if you want to go on one of these motorbike tours, you watch on Blokesworld, and we replay them because they're so good.
Yeah.
You can actually book a tour with him and go on that same tour you're watching on telly,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a base in Nerang. He doesn't have a guy locally. I almost signed up for one. I saw all that. There was like a year in.
There's quite a few different companies that do it now, and a few of them kind of,
they're selling it off the top, what's it called? Top car. What's that car show?
Oh, okay.
What's that car show? The three blokes.
Top Gear.
Top Gear.
Really?
Yeah, Top Gear did one double episode where they rode scooters from the top end to the bottom, tried to do what the Yanks couldn't do.
Yeah.
But I think Blokesworld had already done it. They were, but that's all these businesses popped up, particularly one in Nerang that I was trying to get mates to do.
Okay, yeah.
I say it just would have been a great concept.
Yeah, well, there's a few companies that do it now, and it looks like awesome fun. It looks like a blast, but
until the truck, we were trying to get some dudes together. Like, okay, yeah, come on. Someone was saying we only need $2,200 for 10 days.
Yep.
7 days on the road. Someone follows you in a ute with a spare bike.
Yep.
Accommodation was dropped out, and then one bloke just kept going, like, well, what happens if I crash? I'm like, I don't know, shut up. And then it just kept saying, well, what happens if, you get banged into and you're in the middle of nowhere? Like, I don't know, the guy in the ute will take you to the hospital. Well, what hospital? I don't know. And next minute, like, there's 3 guys in the group going, well, yeah, what happens if you break your leg? And you're in the like, damn it.
Or if you come off the road and land in a landmine area.
Wow.
Which, is a distinct possibility.
Have you ever been there?
I haven't, no.
Me either. No. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, well, this is what really bums me out about when I joined up with Ado is that, we've sort of stuck to Australia this year. So, but we're going to Japan soon.
That's good.
In a month and a half.
Okay.
I can't wait.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I know you're a bit of an expert on Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to say it.
You're not going to say
bring
it
up. No.
Yeah.
Do you know what town you're going to?
We're just staying in Tokyo.
Okay.
We're only going for 4 days, I think.
I'm going in June.
All right.
I'd love to.
Bummer, that would have been awesome.
I'm sure Ado knows a million contacts there, but I could definitely help.
Yeah, we'll speak after.
Yeah, I've been going there too many times. But good. Yeah. So you're doing what? Okay, explain it to me then. If you're going to do with the Aussie Beach TV bloke.
Yep.
He Marcus Forrest. Don't mess it up. I'm not the worst with names. It isn't. But anyway, I love you, Marcus. But Drew, we're going to some event, and he's a little on the political side, but with bikini models. So some event, you're sort of there for 3 or 4 hours.
Yep.
And then bang, as we know, heaps of editing.
Yeah.
Right. And by monkeys like me. So what would you do in Japan? Is he constantly rolling, of course, right?
Well, Japan is going to be different. The normal weekend, I'll give you an example. We've got a week, next weekend we're going to a place in South Australia called Keith, or the Keith Tractor Pull. They actually have an earth-moving equipment demo derby. among other things. I think it's that. It's something like that, or Combine Harvester Demo Derby, or something outrageous.
Yeah, wow.
Which
doesn't sound dangerous.
No, not at all. But and we fly to a lot of these events, and so we've got to fit all of our camera gear into a flyable thing. And so what normally happens is that I've got this case that I can fit a tripod in. It's actually a rifle case, which has caused a few problems in the past. But so I pack my tripod in there, and I pack all this other camera gear, and I've got this backpack that's way overweight, and I carry that on, and then around it I kind of pack maybe a couple of shirts and a toothbrush, and like so we
Scott, yes,
yeah. Yeah, and so we turn up to these events and just run around filming everything we can. We've got to, you don't know the lay of the land until you get there, so you can't have a plan until you get there, and we end up usually going with no plan, and things just happen. We'll be in there on a Friday night, we'll roll in, we'll go into a pub and have a meal, and from that Friday night, the whole weekend changes because we meet. We'll meet a guy named Maggot. Actually, Maggot is the mayor of Emerald. No, we'll meet guys,
For real?
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, wow. Yeah. No, and we'll meet guys. We're at Orange.
Is it due to the fact all this years of Blokesworld?
Yeah.
People go, Blokesworld are here.
Yeah.
It just brings out the best.
It does, It's because everyone either, we were in Orange,
I
was saying, and we're in the pub. And this guy, Chipper, comes up and he's like a fan of the show and everything. And he's like, hey, boys, I made this slide on my property that goes down into a dam. You should come and film it. And he showed us a photo of it. And it's like this occupational health and safety nightmare. And we were like,
tree roots sticking out.
We'll see you there. No, he's built it out of like old, house framing. And so he's built a platform.
That sounds worse. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's insane. I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Really?
He's built this platform. It's probably 15 foot off the ground. And he's got this...
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere, down the side of a hill into this big dam on a farm. And, and so they all get up.
Methamphetamines, they make people...
not these guys. They, they were. That's the thing. You do see a lot of that, but you also see the good side of Australia. You see the guys out there that are hardworking and that just like to have fun. Especially the guys that do things like speedway and race bikes and race cars and guys like Chipper that build these insane slides so they can have a good Australia Day. Because there's no Dream World up there, and so they make their own. And,
right.
Yeah, and things like that happen every town we go to. So,
and it'd be something like I convinced some blokes to come on this. I call it a show.
Yeah,
but once you get a bloke, I don't know what I'm going to say, but something inside us all.
Yeah,
because we've watched TV so much. You get these headphones on, talking to Mike. Everyone turns into, when Blokesworld are here, you become this kind of. I want to show you this. I want to show you. And how are you, mate? I'm good, thanks. My name's Chipper. This is my slide. Isn't it cool and kind of cute?
Oh yeah.
This will be potentially their only time. It's not America.
No.
This will be the only time someone will interview them. This is it. This could be the only chance that their little place in the world has been shown.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
and that's the only places. We go to Melbourne a lot and we go to Sydney, but it's when we go to the smaller towns that they really turn it on. The small towns in Australia, there's so much happening out there, and no one's looking at them. You won't see mainstream TV making stories about what's happening in Yass or in Orange or in Emerald or places like this. So we go there and they're all like, great, finally.
Awesome.
Yeah, and cool things happen, these dudes are doing great, things, usually with old cars and, oversized
anything
engines.
At hand.
Yeah.
Bits of wire, old engines.
Yeah, that's right.
That is so good.
Yeah, and,
That is so cool. I don't know if you heard, but there's a couple of the Nitro Circus guys that are local Gold Coast guys, and they do these big worldwide shows. And so they're at hand with the Americans who've got loads of money, basically, and loads of things to make these jumps. Yeah. They've got loads of, it's more like decades of big American
just
compounds of dirt bike things. And And we don't. We're, always looking out. And so we often make ourselves, if we ever land in America, that's it. Because that's why we have such great bike riders, because we think we have to go so fast. Because we see these guys on in the States.
Yeah.
You have to be as good as this. Well, it turns out when they get there, like, wow, I'm actually pretty good. Like, because you've spent this whole time just dreaming about, but more it's like small man syndrome. Must be.
Exactly.
I have to be better. Like, look at these guys, it's a cool feeling.
Well, we see it on TV, and from editing that you can make things on TV look much more exciting and much more dangerous than real life. You can also make things look more boring as well. It's just comes down to how you edit. So I know exactly what you mean. We look about the same vintage, and grew up watching TV and watching all this stuff happen on TV, and it shapes your ambition. It shapes what you think is possible, and you got to be really careful because stuff happens on TV that is not real and it's not possible. Yeah. But you got these guys out there going, "Oh, I'm going to do it anyway."
So do you still play guitar? Still play? What's the first instrument you learned?
First instrument I learnt was guitar. So I was living in Sydney.
Where?
Sutherland Shire.
Sutherland Shire. That's
a place called Gymea Bay, down south.
Okay.
The Shire, they call it.
Yep.
It's really insular kind of place. It's really
pretty white.
Yeah, very white. You know, very, very competitive and very cliquey and all this stuff. And so the first thing I did. When I finished school, I'm looking through the paper looking for a job because I was lined up to go to uni, and there's an ad for the Air Force. I'm like, I'll do that. So I went and joined the Air Force for a year. They used to have this scheme where you do that part-time. Yep. And and about the same time that Christmas, I think I got a guitar for my birthday. And so I sort of started learning guitar then. So I was a late starter. I didn't play any music in school or anything like that. And just lifelong obsession with music and with recording things and recording songs and writing songs and trying to get onto stages and all of that sort of stuff. So I was in original bands because here's the thing: you'll never. I wanted to join cover bands just to build the skill, and guys that age don't join cover bands.
It's true.
Girls that age do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have a think about that.
There.
And if there's one thing that current me could go back and tell past me, it's before you start writing music, before you start trying to get into gigs, be in a cover band, because in a cover band you're forced to learn all the popular songs. So you get the song structure in your head for popular music, for better or worse. You're forced to spend so long on stage that you get comfortable with it. Yeah. And that's something an original band never does. You play 45-minute sets, you never get comfortable on stage. When every week
you don't really care about people dancing. Would you agree? All the original bands I was in when I was younger, it was just like, look at me, we're rock and roll, rah.
Yeah.
But never cared about the dance beat. Like, no. It was always like some dude in the band wrote the song, we rocked it out. Yeah,
that's right, yeah. But, and we were writing songs. I was sort of writing these really crap songs because I had to write a song that the drummer would want to play, so it had to have Nirvana sort of Metallica-style drums. Yeah. And I had to write songs that the guitarist would want to play, so they had to have like 5 or 6 or 7 lead breaks in them.
Excellent.
And I had to write songs that me and the singer could sing, so they had to be, just all noise, so you couldn't hear the vocals because we were shocking. Right. And so, we ended up writing sort of these poor rip-offs of Nirvana. Because that was what everyone was listening to back then. Yeah. That's what was cool. So.
And Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah. No, way too technical and complex for us.
Yeah. I always laugh back. Okay, we are the same, mate. I remember being in this band, and my memory of like Nirvana and Pearl Jam was that there were lots of original bands that came out, but I can't really remember the Nirvana style ones. The Pearl Jam ones, when everyone started singing like this, and
we couldn't do that. Our voices hadn't
broken. Flicking your long hair and stuff. It's sort of it's like everyone could do that easy. It was easier to do that. For all of Brisbane at the time.
Than to sing.
I hated it. I hated it, even though I don't mind Pearl Jam, you know, looking back, like whatever.
Oh, yeah, we're all, you know.
But that era.
10 album